All right, packet people, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk a little bit about TCP congestion control. You know, not long ago I put out a survey on the channel, and many of you responded that you wanted to see some more deep TCP analysis here on our Packet Head channel. So I thought I'd start today with a topic that absolutely fits into that category, TCP congestion control. So stick around. All right, so TCP congestion control. This is a big topic. It can be really difficult to fully understand unless we really wrap our heads around how TCP works. Now, I've already discussed at length in a longer video this topic of congestion control. And you go ahead and click up here to get to that longer version of this video. But what I wanted to do is just condense it down, simplify it for you so you can get some more experience with what TCP congestion control really is. So I thought we'd get started by taking a look at the actual RFC that defines TCP congestion control. And we can look at that up. It's RFC 5681. Now, again, not going into the gory details, but if we just go down a little bit, just a few pages here, we can get a good definition about what congestion control is. Now I'm going to come down to 3.1, and that defines slow start and congestion avoidance. I'm going to start here just because I think it gives us a good description of what congestion control is. It says, the slow start and congestion avoidance algorithms must be used by a TCP sender to control the amount of outstanding data being injected into the network. Okay, so that gives us a start to what congestion control is. Basically, it's the sender side, and it's a limit on how much can be sent before an acknowledgement is received back. Really, it's the opposite concept of the TCP receive window, which we've talked about on this channel as well. You can hit that up here in this button if you want to know more about the receive window. But the receive window tells you, okay, as a receiver, this is how much you, sender, can send me at once before you hear an acknowledgement. That's a way that the sender will not overwhelm the receiver by sending more than it can handle. Now, the TCP receive window a little bit easier to understand because every time you send any TCP information, we can look down into that header and we can see the amount of space that's left over in the TCP receive buffer on whoever sent that TCP segment. Even if it's an empty ACK, we still see that feedback from the receiver. However, the send window, or the congestion window we could call it, is a little bit different. This is an internal value on the sender that never gets advertised in the actual header data. But it's an internal limit of how much that sender will send at once. And that's why TCP congestion control can be a difficult concept to understand. However, with Wireshark, it is something that we can observe. We can watch the amount of data that a sender sends, and we can observe how much it's putting out on the wire at once. So let's go ahead and get to the packets. Go ahead and click the link in the description down below, and we'll learn a bit more about the congestion window. All right, so here I have a simple iPerf throughput test between two endpoints. All right, so 184, it sends out our handshake, SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK. If we just peek just quickly at some of those TCP options, we see that I have an MSS of 1460 in each direction. It looks like we can use selective acknowledgement, and both sides are using a window scale. But not long after that handshake, what happens? So 84, it looks like 184 is the sender. It's sending out a bunch of data to 196. So in this case, data is going in that direction. And also, we happen to be capturing on the 184 box. This was just a simple iPerf throughput test between two endpoints, and we captured on the sending side. Which, if you're ever doing send analysis like this, we're looking at the congestion window, it's always better to do your point of capture closer to the actual sender instead of the receive side. All right, so what can I learn about our congestion window, or at least when things get started with this throughput? So first, after this 37 bytes is sent to the other side, we see an acknowledgement come back for that 37 bytes, and then we start to send out our throughput test. So initially, what we see is the sender sends out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 full-size packets or segments. So this shows us initially, at least with this application, with this test, the sender sends out initial bursts of 8 MSS. Now this, we actually call the initial window. How much will that sender send out initially? Will it be 2 times the MSS? 4 times the MSS? How many packets will it send out there just to see, does all of that data successfully get to the other side? Well, after this, what we see is we have an acknowledgement come back from the receiver. And here, this is where we can see the network round trip time. 109 milliseconds. If I had checked my network round trip time up in the TCP handshake, I can see that my getting started initial network round trip time was 105 milliseconds. So that's around the same ballpark, right, for my network round trip. So 8 packets go out, 109 milliseconds later. If I click that, I can see my check mark, which is acknowledging everything up to packet 13, and good to go. All 8 packets got to the other side. Well, now what happens to our congestion window? Well, if we take a look at the next small burst of traffic, this is from the sender. Let's go ahead and count these up manually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see my congestion window grew by 2 MSS. 8 was successful, sweet, so I went ahead and added 2. Next I can see in packet 25, this is acknowledging all 10 of those MSSs. There I see a little bit more than my network round trip, might have had a little congestion there. But this is where I see a successful acknowledgement come back for all 10 packets. And then the sender sends out 2 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this is going all the way up to 12 MSS. Successful acknowledgement. Then I have 14. Successful acknowledgement. And then I have 16. So we can see with every network round trip, in this case using iPerf, the congestion window is growing by 2. Now that's not always the case, especially when you're using slow start or if you're using a download with another type of application. It's not uncommon to see that window grow by a multiple, even double. You might see 2 MSSs, then 4, and then 8, and then 16, and then 32, as the amount of data that we send out on the network exponentially grows in the beginning of a transfer. Now, how far can this window grow? How far can we double and double and double until we have to slow down? Well, internal to the machine, there's going to be a limit called the slow start threshold. So you can double, you can go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, but you'll hit a point where you don't want to tip the network and send so much that you're actually causing your own congestion. And again, that's an internal value on the sender's side. So say, for example, the slow start threshold was 32 MSS. So you might observe it doubling. So 2, 4, 8, 16, and then 32. And once we hit 32, we back off from that aggressive growth, and then we go into our congestion avoidance part of our algorithm. And that's when we may add 1 MSS with every round trip. So 33, 34, 35, and it just trickles up. And in fact, that's more how this is behaving here. We don't see that multiplicative growth at the very beginning. We don't see that aggressive growth. So how far does it grow in this case? Well, there's one value, one metric that we're going to add here. And this is where you can pick any packet with the MSS that you see there, or the large data going out from the sender. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand TCP. I'm going to come down to, in sequence acknowledgement analysis, let's expand that out. I want you to come down to bytes in flight. Now this value is the amount of outstanding data that we have on the wire that we have not yet received an acknowledgement for. So I'm going to go ahead and right click this, and I want to apply that as a column. Also at the same time, what I want to do is I want to come up to my calculated window size, and I want to right click that, and I want to also apply that as a column. So here in this profile, we just went ahead and added those 2 values that we can see for every packet. Now keep in mind that on the receiver, my receive window is 212.992. That means that I can never have more than that outstanding on the wire. Well, early on in this throughput, I can see bytes in flight. Right here, I'm on packet 69. I've only got 23,360 outstanding on the wire. So I'm not even near that 212K just yet. But as we start to scroll down, what we're going to start to see is the amount of bytes in flight begins to grow. See, every round trip, I'm adding 2 MSS that I have outstanding, growing that congestion window. Now, what's going to be the ceiling in this case? Well, in this case, it's going to be the receive window on the other side. I can't grow beyond 212.992. That's my ceiling that the receiver can possibly handle outstanding. So that means I'm going to grow my congestion window to that point, and then I'm going to have to stop. And I'm going to have to stop adding more data, more bytes in flight. That's going to be my limit. So let's actually see when that happens. I'm just going to scroll down, scroll, and I'm going to just go a little faster here. And we're going to notice right around packet number 1302. At packet 1302, we're sending 211,700 bytes in flight, unacknowledged. And really, that's my ceiling. I can't have any more than that because my receive window on the other side is 212.992. Now, if this was a whole lot higher, then I would be able to continue to grow my outstanding bytes in flight. But this is where you can see the two of those numbers working together, or rather, in this case, limiting one another. The receive window in this case is limiting the amount of data I can put out there on the wire. The congestion window grew to that point, and then we had to pull the brakes. However, if my receive window was a whole lot higher, well then I'd be able to grow, and then I could possibly run into a situation where the network can't handle as much data as I'm putting out there on the wire. And later on in this trace file, we actually see an example of that. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and set a filter for tcp.analysis.flags. And you're going to see that we actually have some dupack and retransmission behavior a little bit later. So this is around packet 3358. You can join me there. I'm going to remove my filter because I just wanted to jump to that part of our trace file. We can see just before this that we still have our bytes in flight. It's up around 211.700, 211.700, 211.700. The sender simply can't put any more out there on the wire than that. But then what happens? We start to get some feedback from the receiver. We get 3 dupacks. What that means is that something went missing. We lost a packet. We didn't get contiguous data received at the receiver. The receiver says, whoa, wait a second. I saw a jump in the sequence numbers. Well, this sends me into a fast retransmit situation where, as a sender, I sent a bunch of data. I start to get feedback that something went missing. And after getting 3 dupacks, it's a triple double, I go ahead and that triggers my fast retransmission. I don't have to wait the full retransmission timer to expire before this retransmission is triggered. So as a sender, I go, whoa, wait a second. The receiver missed something. Let's go ahead and retransmit that lost data. And then as we start to see these dupacks come in, this was for all data that was outstanding on the wire, that was already put out there. So I'm not too worried about all of these dupacks. They're coming in pretty quickly. This is just letting me know that data past the point of loss, let's just say from packet 1 to 1000, I lost packet 99. But 100 through 1000 got there. That's what all of these acts are telling me. The receiver is saying, great, I got everything after the point of loss. But don't forget, go ahead and send me that lost segment that happened way back there. That's all of these dupacks. That's what it's telling me. So as I reach the end of these dupacks, my retransmission has already been sent. And if I take a look at packet 3503, this is where the dupacks go away. This is the receiver saying, okay, I'm good. I'm clear. I'm great all the way up to this sequence number. Now we can go ahead and resume. That lost packet, I got it. We're good to go. But let's see what happens with our congestion window. Now the sender, what happens? He collapses his congestion window and he goes, okay, I'm only going to send 1, 2, 3, 4 MSSs. He says, well, we ran into a situation where we lost a packet, so I'm going to have to slow down. I was getting way too aggressive here. So he does this back off, and he goes back into his slow start method of building that congestion window again. So we go down to 4 MSS. We get our acknowledgement 1 network round trip later. 6 MSS. Then we wait for our acknowledgement. So this is where we start to slowly grow that congestion window back up to where it was previously. Now, not all algorithms and all applications are going to back off this aggressively. In fact, many modern TCP stacks don't back off this aggressively at all. Instead of backing out all the way down to 4 MSS, maybe they'll just pop down a few MSSs because we just hit our head on the throughput of the network, or the amount of throughput that the network can handle. So after this point of loss, what we're going to see is that the congestion window continues to grow, and we'll see it eventually be restored back up to what it was before. So I really like this PCAP because we learned several things. We learned about the congestion window. We saw it start at 8 MSS, and with every network round trip, it grew by 2. Okay? It's not going to be that way in every single TCP stack out there. Some of them are going to start and multiply. They're going to double and double to a certain point, and then they'll slow down that growth and they'll just go by 1. That's going to happen with TCP building that congestion window until it either experiences congestion, so we start to see a shift in the acknowledgement latency that comes back, or if we see packet loss like we did here. We saw a packet went missing We collapsed our congestion window because we got too aggressive, and we had to start back over at rebuilding it back up to what it was previously. Another interesting thing is that we saw that the receive window was actually a limit for how much the sender could send. It was at 212K. I can't send any more than 212K because that's the amount that the receiver can receive at once. So your congestion window can never be larger than the receive window. Okay, so I hope this video helped you clear up some of those concepts and gave you some hands-on in Wireshark with TCP Congestion Control. Now all you need to do is practice. And of course, stay tuned to this channel as we continue to look at topics like these and we dig into TCP with Wireshark. So thanks for stopping by. I'll see you on another video.